Yoo-Hoo Choi and Bong Joon-ho, and translator Iris Chang. First off, thank you so much for coming out tonight and doing this. I really love this film, and I love the ending of this film, especially. I feel like it's filled with so much love and compassion and kindness towards its characters. And every time I've seen it, and this is now the third time I've seen it, I'm reminded of this kind of Albert Camus line from the myth of Sisyphus, which is, try to imagine Sisyphus happy. And I think that this is a film where you end up with trying to imagine Mickey happy. And I was wondering, what does it mean to focus on hope and hopefulness in dystopia in your worlds, in your films? Duho?
Producer Duho, he worked with me so many years, from Snowpiercer, Okja, and he know everything about me.
Duho, do you want to?
I don't know, but I don't feel like in the world we live in right now, the movie doesn't unfortunately feel very dystopian.
야, 이제 전쟁 중이라서 전쟁 중에 이 영화를 보니까 더 마음이 좀 그러네요. 묘하네요.
Yeah, watching this movie now at a state in which the world is at war, my heart is not so calm or pleasant.
I was wondering now, I was really happy to see that you both watched the film. And this film came out about a year ago, a little over a year ago. And I was wondering, watching tonight, what stuck out to you? What did you notice that you hadn't noticed before? And I guess, when is the last time you both have seen it in a theater?
마지막 본 게 작년 개봉 당시였고요. 한 1년 만에 다시 봤습니다.
So the last time I watched it was last year at the time of the premiere, so it's been about a year.
영화를 찍은 건 더 오래됐으니까요.
It's been even longer since we were in production.
The production was 2022 in London, yeah, Livingston Studio. So it was before, yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later on.
근데 어쨌든 영화가 과거를 반영할 수도 있고 또 미래를 예측하거나 그냥 우연히 미래를 예측하는 것처럼 될 수도 있는데 그런 여러 가지 복잡한 심정이 드네요. 이 영화를 보니까.
So I think regardless, movies have a possibility or ability to reflect the past, but also in some sense be able to predict the future as well.
But anyway, I think this is a love story. That was my intention. Something between Mickey and Nasha. Yeah.
Did you see that? So this is adapted from a novel by Edward Ashton, Mickey 7, and I was wondering what drew you to that material, and I mean, did you find that love story in the material, or did you, I guess, what is the kind of initial inspiration that made you want to do this film?
일단 그 노동자 얘기라서 되게 관심이 갔고요. 워킹 클래스 얘기라서.
So I was initially drawn to the fact that it was about the working class.
근데 직업이 죽는 거잖아요. 죽는 게 직업인 사람이 도대체 어떤 입장, 어떤 기분일까 궁금했었고요.
And Mickey's character, his job is to die, and I was curious about what that would be like.
죽음에 대해서도 우리가 여러 가지 생각이 있잖아요. 물론 무섭죠. 저도 무섭고 죽음을 피하고 싶은데 동시에 또 그게 어떤 느낌일까, 어떤 기분일까 궁금하기도 하고. 근데 그 누구도 얘기해주진 않잖아요. 죽은 분들은 말이 없기 때문에.
So I think there's a lot of things that I'm curious about the process of dying. It's something that we want to avoid, but also something that we are curious about. No one is able to tell us because the people that are dead cannot speak to us.
이런 게 이제 제 최초의 호기심이었고 이제 스토리를 직접 써나가면서 더 많은 여기 크리퍼들의 얘기나 이런 얘기로 이야기가 이제 쭉 확장이 되어 갔습니다.
And that was my initial curiosity and how I began the story. And then it expanded into adding the creatures and creepers as well.
I always love creatures and monsters.
I wanted to ask about the creatures. They're so fantastic, and they have this amazing transformation through the film. In some ways, they start out as grotesque and kind of scary, and they're this really. But by the end, they're empathetic and the moral core of the film, and also really cute. You've managed this kind of transformation that happens, and I was wondering if you both could talk about the process of coming up with the creatures, kind of conceiving of them, but really kind of working through, but also that kind of, how do you make something that is both so grotesque and also feel so emotionally rounded?
그 크리처 디자인 한 분은 저랑 오랫동안 일했던 분이에요. 괴물도 했고 옥자도 같이 했던 저의 파트너인데.
So the creature designer that I worked with on this film is a longtime collaborator of mine. I've worked with him on The Host and for Okja as well.
So we know each other very well, and he's really real genius. His name is Hichal. He's really genius Korean artist. But 이건 이제 너무 어려운 임무였죠. 무서웠다가 이제 징그럽고 무서웠다가 귀여워져야 되니까 얼마나 힘들었겠어요.
And I think in this film, it was a really hard task for him to create this creature, like you said, from being grotesque and scary to transforming into this cute character.
그래서 그 조금 특정 종한테는 미안한데 그 무서울 때는 갑각류, 귀여워지면 강아지. 저도 이제 개를 키우지만 결국은 강아지 이미지에 의존하게 되더라고요. 그 귀여운 베이비 클리퍼들은.
So it was a hard task, but I wanted to show in the beginning when they're portrayed as more scary, like a hard-shelled creature. Later, they develop into this more dog-like, cute character. And I wanted to introduce June here.
Oh.
My new tattoo. Just 3 weeks ago.
I thought you were going to have a
Jenny.
creeper, by the way. I really thought. I was like, oh my god, that's so sweet.
Yeah, and 그래서 디자인을 그렇게 맞췄고 이제 실제 그거를 영화 속에서 살아 움직이게 해주려면 정말 뛰어난 VFX 아티스트가 필요한데 그걸 이제 댄 얘기를 자기가 좀 해준 거예요.
So Dan Glass was our VFX supervisor, and we've been wanting to work with Dan since Snowpiercer, but he's always too busy. And it was great because Warner Brothers actually suggested Dan because he did all the Matrix films, and they were like, "Hey, how about Dan Glass?" And we looked at each other and were like, "Amazing!" And that was it. And Dan was like the most incredible guy, and he was
Yeah.
probably the hardest working supervisor on set.
And the very final process is the voice of Mama Creeper. 거짓말이 아닌데 저거 목소리에 어떤 필터나 특수 효과를 한 것이 아닙니다. 실제 저 목소리를 하시신 분이 있는데요.
I know you may not believe it, but there's no filter or any sort of effect on that voice for Mama Creeper.
그 프랑스 배우분이신데요. 아나 무글라리스. My pronunciation is not so. Anyway.
French actor by that name.
여배우.
French actress.
프랑스 영화에 많이 나오는 분인데 아나 무글라리스라고요. 정말 실제 저랑 이제 뭐 예를 들어 세트장에서 뭐 식사할 때도 저런 목소리로 얘기하세요.
So she's a profound French actress, and she speaks like that even when we're on set.
Oh my god.
I'm not lying. Please research. There is an interview clip of her in the YouTube, so 확인하실 수 있다.
You can check it out yourself.
Duho, I have. This is the third film you've worked on with director Bong, starting with Snowpiercer, and then Okja as well. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you met and what the kind of first experience of kind of working together was, how much you knew about director Bong, and kind of what you learned, and then also how has that evolved over these projects.
Okay.
yeah. I have more questions for you.
I met him in Korea when I was at film school there. He had graduated 4 years before me, and he was like the superstar director that was gonna do amazing things, but he had only made shorts. And every time he walked by, we'd kind of whisper and go, "Oh yeah, he's going to Vancouver. His shorts in the Vancouver Film Festival," and we all knew he was gonna do big things. And then I moved to LA, and he just called me up out of the blue, and it was 2011, and he was like, "Hey, I'm doing Snowpiercer. Do you wanna work on it?" And so that was his first English language film, and I think, in a way, there was it was like a barrier that had to be crossed. Like he hadn't worked out here before, and but it was quickly apparent to him that the systems were a little bit different, but ultimately, like making a movie is just the same process. You're just lining up shots, and you're just working with actors, and you just kind of go through the shot list. Okja and Mickey 17, obviously they got a little bit bulkier and more ambitious in scale, but his process has been the same. He just likes to work with a small crew initially and do like a long prep, and it's always like trying to figure out the puzzle in the most efficient way. And whether it's Mickey or Snowpiercer, it's always like a tight ship that he likes to run. And we like to finish ahead of schedule and under budget if we can, and we've been pretty successful so far.
Well, we are really fortunate to have a collection of Director Bong Joon-ho's storyboards on display here at the museum as part of an exhibition, Director's Inspiration Bong Joon-ho, that was curated by my colleague Michelle Poots, which I worked with her on that. And it's really amazing to see how kind of vital storyboarding and how thorough and meticulous this process is of you thinking out every shot. You work in a unique way in which you really do plan out every single shot, and you really draw it out, and then you communicate that to all of your team and give storyboards so that everyone is on the same page. I was wondering how you came to this being the way you wanted to work, and why you've stuck with it. What does it do for you?
어렸을 때 이제 만화를 많이 그렸었어요. 만화가가 되고 싶어서. 그래서 그게 되게 익숙해요. 장면들을 나열하는 게.
So when I was young, I wanted to become a comic artist, and so I drew a lot of comics. So I'm very used to that storyboarding process.
그리고 저희 의사가 그러더라고요. 저보고 불안 증세가 너무 심하다고.
And my doctor also told me I have a strong case of anxiety as well.
그 스토리보드를 미리 하면 불안이 좀 극복이 되거든. 안 그러면 세트장 갈 때 되게 무서워요.
So if I storyboard
부담되거든.
in advance, it helps me alleviate that anxiety, so that before I step onto set, I feel less anxious.
내 불안을 좀 가라앉히려고 하는 건데, 대신 그려놓으면 좋죠. 스태프들하고도 같이, 프로듀서나 스태프들하고 쉐어할 수 있고 같이 보고 이제 뭘 찍으려는지 금방 아니까. 그리고 스토리보드대로 찍어요. 진짜 거의 그대로. 그래서 일을 더 빠르게 진행시킬 수 있죠.
So obviously, it's good for me to be able to share the ideas that I have in my mind with the producers and also with our crew, just so they know exactly we're on the same page. We shoot exactly shot by shot according to the storyboard as well.
For example, such a great master like Korida Hirokazu or Steven Spielberg, I heard they never made storyboard.
Yeah.
But their movie is beautiful and amazing. And 그러니까 꼭 해야 된다고 생각하진 않습니다. 스토리보드. 근데 제가 이제 성격적 불안함을 해소하기 위해서 하는 것인데, 그거 없이도 또 되게 아름다운 영화가 나올 수 있으니까.
So I don't think it's quite necessary, but it's just for me and my personality to help relieve some of that anxiety. It helps, but you're still able to create beautiful films regardless.
그렇지만 이제 기생충 스토리보드 묶어서 이제 책으로 출간이 된 적이 있었거든요. 그때 약간 그래픽 노블처럼 이렇게 만들어서 나왔었는데.
For Parasite, we actually published a graphic novel of the compilation of all the storyboards.
근데 그때 이제 만화가가 되는 꿈을 이룬 것 같아서 좀 기뻤어요. 약간 예, 약간 한 절반만 그런 거지만. 예.
I felt quite joyful because it felt like I had fulfilled my dream of becoming a comic in some way.
How does that work with actors and communicating? I mean, I know that Robert Pattinson has talked about how it was a bit of a shock to kind of work in this method where you could be saying a line and then saying a line from a couple later on in a speech in the same kind of shot because you know exactly what you want. How do you in some ways, how do you communicate to actors to get performances that are really kind of filled with life, which they are, and so kind of emotionally powerful in this kind of method?
It's always very difficult. One of the most difficult aspect of filmmaking, I think, because each actors are all different, very different. 한 명 한 명이 다 각자의 우주를 갖고 있기 때문에. 예.
Each one has their own little universe.
카메라는 예를 들어 아리플렉스 뭐 535다 그러면 이기종은 이렇게 하면 돼 매뉴얼대로 하면 되지만 배우들은 그런 게 없기 때문에 일단 어떤 사람인지가 항상 제일 궁금하고요. 그걸 알아도 또 꽤 어려운 것 같아요.
So with cameras, you can just flip certain switches and change the settings, but with actors, they're humans, so it doesn't work that way.
So 그리고 제 스스로 또 되게 모순에 가득 차 있어가지고.
So in many ways, I am also very paradoxical in that way.
I'm very control freak, but at the same time, I always wait some actors' improvisation. Yeah, please show me something interesting. Show me something I never expected, kind of. 그리고 카메라는 되게 이렇게 정교하게 짜놨지만 거기서 배우한테 좀 자유롭게 막 해달라 그러거든요. 배우 입장에서 뭐 이거 말이 안 되는 소리를 하고 있지 왜 저 양반이 그럴 거예요. 이렇게 다 짜여진 상태에서 또 자유롭게 하라고 하니까.
So the camera and the positioning is all very precise, but I ask my actors to play around freely within the frame, and I think that's a little bit of a contradiction, kind of a hard request to fulfill.
로버트 패틴슨은 저의 그런 이상한 요구들을 다 잘 해줬고 그 이상으로 해줬고 제가 되게 많이 의지했어요. 되게 고마운 배우고요.
And Robert Pattinson really took on that request fully and was able to fulfill everything, and I'm very, very grateful for that.
He's very creative, especially for 18. 미키 17. 17은 이제 저도 그 캐릭터를 잘 알고 되게 계획대로 갔는데 18은 정말 그 로버트만이 만들 수 있는 여러 되게 와일드한 디테일들로 많이 채워졌던 것 같아요. 랍이 없었더라면 못 만들어냈을 것 같아요 그 캐릭터.
So with 17, I had a really good grasp on the character myself, but with 18, only Robert was able to create that character, from building it up from the ground, and it was because he came up with such unique ideas and wild ideas.
미키 18, some dialogue, the line is very strange, dirty word. I have ever heard.
The electric eel.
Cream, Captain Cream Pie? I still don't know what's the meaning of it. I still don't know.
Yeah, that's all Rob Pattinson.
Just improvise
do it
on
more.
set.
I love that. I love that. I read that one of the inspirations for the voice was the cartoon Ren and Stimpy. Did he show you Ren and Stimpy?
조씨가 얘기 좀 하세요.
Yeah, so it's interesting because we didn't know what he was going to do until the read through, and then it was pretty crazy. But actually, the thing that was interesting is like later on, I think it was in Berlin, he was saying that Steve Buscemi was a big inspiration as well.
Yeah.
17.
Was it Steve Buscemi from Fargo, or was it just in general? Did you say at some point that the creature from The Host was
Yeah,
based
the
off
host,
of
the
Steve
creature
Buscemi?
design, inspired by Steve Buscemi. Actually, his photo was on the wall of our office when we making the design of the monster in The Host.
Does he know how important he is to your film career?
Finally, we met him in New York screening of Mickey 17. Yeah, he and John Turturro was there, right?
Yeah, we had a little screening in New York, and John Turturro and Steve were there.
내가
It
그
was great.
얘기했나? I told it. I don't remember, but anyway, it was Steve Buscemi.
I wonder, you know, with Pattinson like bringing this kind of idea of Ren and Stimpy. First off, did you know about Ren and Stimpy? Did he show you this and he was like, I'm doing this, or did he just like, what was that? I'm curious.
처음에는 약간 그 자기가 이 미키에 어울리는 좀 특이한 액센트를 해보겠다고. 어느 동네 이름이.
Like somewhere in the East Coast, he was like doing like a Boston accent or something.
Yeah, he suggested it was quite similar situation when we were preparing Snowpiercer. Tilda Swinton suggest this character, the Minister Mason. I think she will use the Yorkshire accent, right? Yeah. I'm not English speaking person, so I don't know what's the meaning and context and the nuance of the accent. But 그럴 때 이제 배우들의 도움을 많이 고맙게도 이제 배우들의 도움을 많이 받게 되는데요.
So in those moments, I asked the actors a lot for their help.
랍도 이번에 그래서 무슨 제안을 했는데 나중에 들어보면 그 거짓말 그 실제 하지 않는 사투리 액센트라 그러던데.
And so Rob also suggested this accent for this character, but I heard that that's actually not the right accent that they use there.
그래서 약간 그 농담으로 한 거였는데 저는 그게 진짜 그런 액센트가 있는 건 줄 알고 되게 재밌었어요.
He was essentially joking around with this accent, but I thought it was real.
근데 이게 어떤 액센트로 들리는 건 아니죠, 이 목소리가.
Does his voice sound like a particular accent to you?
No, it sounds. I mean, it's both of the voices. It's this great kind of slimy little man who's also, again, like the creepers. You know, both grotesque and also really endearing.
항상 손해 보는 사람, 또 착한데 맨날 손해 보고 사기를 치는 게 아니라 사기 당하는 사람의 느낌 같은 거 있잖아요. 좀 불쌍하기도 하고 못났는데 좀 그렇다고 또 바보는 아니고. 자존감이 없는 사람 그런 느낌을 다 그 목소리가 담아내는 것 같아서 되게 고마웠었어요.
His voice, the voice was actually able to capture everything of his character. You see that Mickey is always kind of at a loss. He seems like he would get the short end of the stick, quite wimpy and pathetic, but he's at his core kind, and he's not stupid either, just a little bit of a low self-esteem, but his voice captured all of that.
I'm fascinated. Duho, we were talking about something outside earlier about this kind of role of translation and a kind of mistranslation and communication breakdown across several of Bong's films and the films you've worked on together. I was wondering if you could talk, both of you, or you could talk about what that means and why that comes up in so many of the films, do you think?
Well, I think, you know, for the English language films, unlike the Korean films, he always has to have a translator to help him communicate with crew and cast. And Stephen Yeun plays the translator character in Okja, and he translates poorly. And when I read the script for Mickey 17, it was great to see that moment sort of evolve. And actually, Snowpiercer also has the translation device that Song Kang-ho and Chris Evans speak through. But like, this is like sort of a culmination of that idea, you know, but communicating with an alien species, with Anna Muglalis being the voice of the translation device. So it's to me, it's interesting because it's something that he has to sort of do on a daily basis when he's out here, and to see it sort of pop up in his work is kind of cool, and how it sort of falls into the storyline.
You agree?
제가 남의 말을 잘못 알아듣거나 오해하는 경우가 많아요. 그 영어라서 보다도 어쨌든 한국어로 들을 때도 그렇고 남의 말을 오해를 잘해. 이렇게 딴 생각을 하고 막 그래요.
So I think there's many instances in which I misunderstand what other people say to me, not just in English but in Korean as well.
오해를 많이 하고 잘못 영화를 보고도 영화의 스토리도 그 오독한다 그러면 되게 미스리딩하는 그러니까 나 혼자 다르게 스토리를 이해하고 있는 경우가 많더라고요. 영화를 보고 나와서 친구들하고 얘기하면 그래서
So even when I'm watching movies, there's instances when I misread the intent of the story or how other people were interpreting the film as well.
그래서 뭐 이게 다 창작의 에너지겠지 뭐 이런 식으로 정신 승리를 하면서 정신 승리란 표현.
So I would
Yeah.
say that this, in a sense, is a way in which I can continue to push forward and move past the ways in which I deal with those misunderstandings.
그래서 익숙해요. 그런 거를 표현하기가 저한테는 되게 편안합니다. 그러니까 제 영화의 인물들 보면 서로 오해를 많이 해요. 잘 커뮤니케이션 잘 되는 경우가 별로 없습니다.
So I want to push past all those misunderstandings and make sure that I'm not misreading.
And that is also one of the reason I really love Coen Brothers movie. Yeah. A lot of misunderstandings.
Entire movies that the story all changes on them. Speaking of Coen Brothers, I mean, I think you are so you're such a profound cinephile. Film, you devour film. I mean, you know it so well. And I was wondering if there's a kind of if you have specific films you watch in relationship to films you're making, such as with this one, was there one film or shots from films you had in mind while you were doing it? Or is it taking inspiration from just a lifetime of watching?
미키 17에서는 뭐가 있었을까요? 시나리오 쓸 때 왠지 의무적으로 그래야 될 것 같아서 쌍둥이들이 나온 또는 두 인물이 나온 영화 같은 거 한번 쭉 보게 되더라고요.
Because we see Mickey 17 and 18 in this film, I inevitably looked at films that have twins.
데이비 크로넨버그, Dead Ringer,
Dead Ringer,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Jeremy Irons.
Very strange movie. 그 많이 보게 됐어요. 그런 뭐가 있었지?
Oh, it's funny because when he was writing the script, he's like, "It's Mean Streets in space." It's like 18 is Johnny Boy, and I was like,
Oh,
"What?"
man.
Yeah, exactly. 17-18 relationship is something similar to
Yeah,
Harvey
yeah,
Keitel
yeah,
and
yeah.
Robert De Niro characters.
But are you telling that to Robert Pattinson while you're doing this? Does that communicate it to people, or you want them to find their own inspiration? Is that just a secret you keep to yourself?
별로 얘기 안 하죠. 랍도 영화를 엄청나게 많이 보는 사람입니다. 그 시네파일이고요. 그리고 본인도 본인의 레퍼런스를 찾기 위해 또 목말라 다니는 그죠? 뭐 그런 친구라서.
So I didn't particularly tell him much. He's a cinephile himself, always searching for references. So he did his work.
Many strange movies he watched.
Right.
He told me. Yeah. And 근데 민스트리트 얘기는 했었던 것 같아요, 그죠? 서로
do
밥
think-
먹으면서.
I do think I mentioned Mean Street to him as we were eating together.
The 17 is not Harvey Keitel, but in some aspect a little bit. And the early part of 18 is quite similar to Johnny Boy. The Robert De Niro, the character's name is Johnny Boy. But the later part of 18 is a little bit different. 후반에는 이제 미키 18이 좀 더 어른 같아지고 17을 보호하려고 하고 그런 좀 캐릭터 뭐라 그러지? 커브 아크 같은 게 있죠.
So we see more of a character arc for Mickey 18. Towards the end of the film, he becomes more protective and caring towards Mickey 17.
So I've been wanting to, since seeing this film, actually, there's a question I've been wanting to ask you both, which is that there's a scene in this film with Mark Ruffalo and his character who perhaps has some similarities to a notable politician / maybe president of the United States. And there's this moment in which he's nearly assassinated, and you shot this film in 2022.
2022.
You wrote it in 2021. And so
Exactly.
I was thinking that, you know, you're often called a visionary filmmaker, but I wonder if are you also a prophet? What is this? But also, what did it mean to see that, knowing the film hadn't been released and knowing that this film had that in this?
일단 모든 다양한 정치적인 입장을 존중한다는 얘기를 먼저 드리고요.
I want to just first off begin with the fact that I respect all different political views.
뭐 그런 근데 아까 그 전쟁 얘기도 했지만 이제 의도치는 않았지만 그런 게 점점 많아지는 것 같아서 기분이 묘해요. 좀 신기하기도 하고 조금 슬프기도 하고.
I know I mentioned the war earlier, but I think there are more and more incidents like the ones portrayed in the film that's happening in the world, and I have mixed feelings on it.
마크 러팔러하고는 뭐 다양한 정치인들 얘기를 했습니다. 여러 한국 정치인 얘기도 했고요, 레퍼런스로. 또 미국의 어느 주지사 얘기도 했고요. 되게 여러 명을 얘기했어요. 꼭 뭐 도널드만 얘기한 건 아니고요.
So with Mark Ruffalo, when we were discussing his character, we talked about a number of a variety of different politicians that we referenced, some from Korea, a governor even from the States as well, not just going to reference the president here, Donald.
이제 마샬이란 캐릭터가 되게 사랑받고 싶어하는 캐릭터야. 결핍이 있는 거지. 근데 정치인들이 또 많이 그런 것 같아요.
So Marshall as a character, he just wants to be loved. And I think that's something that is also shared by politicians as well.
그 결핍이 잘 채워지지 않고 뒤틀리기 시작했을 때 이제 점점 이상한 쪽으로 가게 되는 것 같습니다.
And when that isn't fulfilled, when there aren't love, then their ways become more twisted.
Well, I so appreciate this film and you both coming out to talk about it tonight. And there's a shot from this film that I've kind of held with me for the last year, which is of Robert Pattinson in the tube being held by Naomi Ackie and being held as he dies. And every time I've thought about that, it really kind of, it's so sincere and heartfelt and heartbreaking all at once. And it really is just a kind of miraculous vision. So I thank you so much for this film and thank you for coming out tonight and for all your collaboration, both of you on the exhibition, which is open for some time. So thank you.
Thank you for wonderful screening and thank you for everyone here. Thank you so much.